In regards to the end of this class, I have felt a huge relief as well as personal growth. I remember my sister attempted to take a speech class her first year at IPFW. Her nerves got the best of her and she dropped out a week later. I was highly prepared to ever avoid taking one myself in fear that my nerves would parallel hers. Signing up for speech class with my advisor was arguably the hardest thing I've ever done academically, but I surprised myself many times for the duration of this semester. My preconceived ideas about speech class were what I would were that I would have nothing positive to gain in the face of potential humiliation, embarrassment, and failure. The reality, however, was that I couldn't have been more wrong. My speaking experience before this class was little to nil. I had done a few radio appearances and interviews for the news, but not in a very big public setting. For those from those times though, I had learned that being tongue-tied is common when put on the spot, and I feared these problems would reoccur. However, I underestimated what effects preparation and planning have on nerves. By focusing on the content of my speeches over the 23 pairs of eyes staring at me made it easier to feel more at ease up at the podium. My stress and anxiety forced me to study and rehearse so that the clouded brain would be absent when it finally came time to deliver my speech. I hope to improve on my speaking skills, speaking clearly, coherently, and conversationally. I think the pride I felt immediately after giving a speech was a sign that I had done well in this area, as well as feedback from the audience. My classmates were good at making eye contact and seeming genuinely interested in the content of my speeches. They also supported me by giving me compliments after every speech I had given. This built up my confidence and ensured how I was preparing myself for class was paying off. After the special occasion speech for my dog Zoe, I had two classmates tell me that my speech almost made them cry and that it had meant a lot to them. Feedback like this was pivotal in building up my confidence as a speaker. It told me that not only did I grab their attention enough for them to listen, but also that I had put together and delivered a touching eulogy. Another anxiety of mine was the visual aid component of the last two speeches. I had heard from a friend that speech class at St. Francis University incorporated PowerPoint, which only made me more anxiety ridden about taking the class. Again, my nerves forced me to be well equipped to present. I worked excessively on putting together my first PowerPoint presentation until I was no longer worried. I developed this skill significantly and feel it will be very useful for me down the road in a future job. Truthfully, I had never thought much about how the audience impacted the direction of a topic of a speech, but now it's important and obvious. Relating the speech to people's personal experience is essential in grabbing the audience's attention. They have no reason to listen and participate in the speech unless it directly correlates with something they are interested in. I gave a lot more thought to the element of speeches as the semester played out, to this element of speeches as the semester played out. For instance, I wanted to do the persuasive speech on why Game of Thrones is a must-see TV show, but I had learned throughout the year that the audience may not be as excited about it as I am. With this in mind, I decided on a more mutual topic of interest: meditation. Meditation is something I am super enthralled by, yet it also applies to college students regarding lowering stress levels. Finding a topic that was shared by the diversity of my classmates' personalities was a challenge. Some were sports fanatics, others art students, others liked anime and dogs. However, um, some were some were communal, such as attending St. Francis, being in the same age group, etc. Thinking critically about whom I speak with and what political, religious, or personal beliefs they may have is necessary in any friendly or professional environment so that I might not offend them in any way. Its applications extend far beyond this because it is also an important concept of simply having a conversation. By talking about mutual topics with a friend or coworker, they are more likely to be attentive and reciprocating of our conversation if they are interested as well. The vulnerability of being in front of the entire class made me pay attention the best I could so that the same respect could be reciprocated from me. I think the phrase, treat others the way you want to be treated, applies very well in this conversational piece. Listening skills are correlated strongly with having a basic respect for all people. Being an attentive listener is half of the learning experience in a speech class, which is not something people might typically think of when they think of taking a speech class. Learning only takes place when attention and thought is given to a person's surrounding environment. Whether it is in a speech class, college lectures, or a boss giving a presentation, it is smart to develop listening skills. The Public Speaking Handbook talks about understanding and responding to a person's ideas by creating an opinion on them and summarizing the main messages to better comprehend their message. A lot more goes into listening than I originally thought before taking this class. I can definitely say my perspective on such a quality skill has been changed for the better. It is not enough to declare a statement flamboyantly. It must also have backing and facts to support it, or else it is not readily believed, or nor should it. Quotes, references, and data is needed for any speech or article that is not developed from personal experience. For the extemporaneous, elevator pitch, and special occasion speeches, no research was needed, but for the informative and persuasive ones, it did. For these speeches, I read up on what I was writing about so that I would be well informed about the issues. I went to the library to get credible sources, as well as looked up several articles online for extra info that was not provided in the textbooks I found. Letting the audience know the topic was well researched involves quotes, names, and sources. I tried to incorporate as many quotes as I needed to support my statements. Especially in the persuasive speech, I found many quotes that I found particularly helpful to support my discussion. It is extremely important to be aware of your own credibility when delivering a speech. I always asked myself the question, why should the audience listen to what you have to say on this topic? And then prove to myself why I am a good source of information on the issue. I strongly feel this should be true for everyone. Speech class has been an extremely positive experience for me. I feel I have become a more confident person, as well as a better speaker and student. Turns out I proved myself wrong. Yet if the alternative is being an anxious, insecure speaker, I don't want to be right.